record on this computer. Okay, so today we're going to go over cash management. So I'm going to start over here on this station, and I'm just going to go to config, system, and cash management. So we have a whole screen dedicated to the ins and outs and different things that you can enable for customers in order to facilitate them being able to close out properly and in a way that makes sense for their accounting or their bookkeeping or however they run their business. So I'm going to go through a few of these things on the screen so that I can explain to you what they do. So use starting amount for all cash drawers. That is simply a feature that a lot of our locations, most locations, start with a base amount in the cash drawer. And what this does is at the end of the day, when they're entering in the money, they don't have to count out the starting amount, like take it out first and then put it in. They can literally just count everything in the cash drawer, and the system will automatically deduct that starting amount from their cash. So it does it for them. So that's what this feature does. Verify starting amount is actually a feature that when a customer comes in and they're opening their cash drawer, this one doesn't have a drawer, so I'm going to actually make a test one really quickly. When they're opening their cash drawer, before they can go forward and actually process any orders for the day, the system forces them to actually put in the denominations of cash that they have. So if I go to cash and I go to start drawer, you see there's this green verify button. So it won't even let me hit open until I start to put something in. So you have to put in at least a penny in order to even be able to move past the screen. A lot of owners want to do that because you want to verify that your employees are actually starting with the amount they're supposed to and not just putting in the automatic amount that the system requests. So that is one of the ways you can limit how your employees are starting their cash drawers at the beginning of the day. Driver and server cash out to drawer. With most locations, you will find that instead of them paying their servers out or their drivers out from the safe, they take it from a specific cash drawer or a variety of cash drawers throughout the building. So by turning this on, when I cash out a driver or server who in Revention have their own virtual drawers, what ends up happening is this actually deposits it automatically into the specified drawer. So if I have it default to the delivery to go drawer, or if I'm one of those people, wherever they cash out is where they cash out, it'll give them a pop-up when they're closing that server, that driver out, saying, choose the cash drawer you want to deposit this cash into or take their cash tips out of. So that's what that feature does. We have several features. As you can see, this store actually has it on to pay the compensation for employees through payroll. So as opposed to me having to take out of my cash, especially right now in COVID, nobody really uses cash. Like nowadays, most people are using debit cards. So the business might not have enough cash on hand every single day. So they've started to enable these features where things can go to payroll. So you can put the credit card tips, gratuity, as well as any driver compensation on payroll if you want to. And then that helps you with the cash handling aspect of not having to worry about taking out of your drawer, starting amount in your tills every day, and instead you just put it on the paycheck. Now this one is a relatively newer feature that most people are not comfortable with, but I will explain what it does. The one that says collect server orders to cash drawer. That one is really misunderstood in that it's rarely used, but in the instance that it is, it's normally going to be kind of like those cafe type places where kind of like think of a Cracker Barrel, where you have a server that waits on you, but when you check out, you go up to a cashier stand, you give them your receipt, and they cash you out. So this feature, what it does is it tells the system that the servers are never collecting on their own orders. Their orders are being collected on by a cashier or someone else in the business for them. It's very important to understand that also with that feature, if a server, for some reason, collects on their own order, stuff goes awry. Things don't report correctly. Their closeout is not going to be correct at the end of the day. So when this feature is being enabled, you always want to remember that the server never needs to ever try to collect on their own orders if that feature is enabled. Okay. Most of these are really self-explanatory, restricting the drop to the amount owed, which there's also a sub feature on that one if you click it to calculate the overage for you if you wanted to. If they are a business where a lot of locations kind of take the credit card processing fee that they have to pay, they pay it forward to their employees. So for instance, So for instance, I am an employee, I'm a business and I have servers and I have bartenders, but I want to actually have them pay for their credit card fees. So if I'm tipped on an order, then have to pay the processing fee basically for that tip to their business, and they just put that percent in here, and that will show up in the server or driver cash drawer. And I'll show that to you in a minute. Okay, I broke that. So required deposit makes the restricted so that the closing staff cannot close the day until they actually put a deposit into the system. And then do not allow tips. This feature is for customers that don't run authorizations, they run sales. You're going to see this with a Popeye's chicken. Huey Magoo's does it this way, where basically they're like a fast service and customers are not coming back and changing orders at all. So what it does is it allows you to actually tip on the credit card reader as opposed to having to put the tip on a receipt and then put it into the system later.
Hey, quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, about the required deposit. Let's say you've got somebody that forgets to put it in, and they did all their other stuff, and they usually leave that to the end, and they got distracted and leave. The next morning, the manager doesn't realize it and starts ringing stuff up. Are they still on the previous day?
No, we have a safety feature in Revention called Auto Start New Day. What this feature does is it actually looks at the Windows time at this time every single day. And if the station time does not match the Windows time, it clicks it over to the correct business date. This feature is also a safety feature in that if it sees that there are any unbatched credit cards, so they forgot to close the day period, it will actually force batch out any credit cards that have not batched at that point.
Gotcha, thank you.
Not a problem.
Will it prevent them from punching out if they don't deposit?
Yes, so if they have this feature turned on, they can't even close the day or punch out for the day until this has been done.
Cool, thank you.
Out of store rate, basically the way that feature works, a lot of businesses have it so that when their drivers are on the road, they make less because they get tipped than they do when they're inside the location. So the out of store rate allows you to set the system so that when the moment a driver is dispatched on an order, they're making a lower rate than they are making in store. Okay.
Can we go back to the the include delivery fees and net sales? I think so. You said that's kind of how they handle paying the credit card fee. And so
no, specifically that CC fee on tips does that. This feature, all it does is right now, if you look at one of our standard daily performance reports, this feature is not included in the net sales. It's its own separate entity, so it's separated out. But some people want to actually include that as part of their revenue or their sales as opposed to being other income. So they actually want to see it included in their net sales each day. So that's what this feature does. It just reallocates how the delivery fee appears on the daily performance report or in any of the other sales reports.
Are delivery fees included in the taxable amount, or can you have non-tax delivery fees?
So that is a feature of our delivery fee. If it is taxable, you can set that it is taxable. And that's honestly normally a state regulation or something like that that determines that. Most places I know don't have a taxable one, but every so often you'll get one that does.
Okay,
and you can figure that on the actual delivery fee itself. Okay. The last two are more specific to closing and checking out, i.e. I don't want a super long station receipt at the end of the day. So this feature allows you to hide the credit card so it doesn't itemize out every single, so if you've ever seen one of our cash out receipts, it itemizes out every single credit card transaction with corresponding tip on the bottom of the receipt. This will hide that, so it shortens the receipt. So you're just getting the above detail with the summary of what your credit cards are as opposed to that actual detail. And then this one is a new feature that we created where, a lot of people now have the third-party payment types. I do DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Eat24, all of that. And I want to be able to print my cash drawer receipt and actually see that on the receipt itself. So the print drawer payment details feature, first of all, it does not work on server or driver cash outs. That's the first thing to know about that. However, on the main cash drawer receipts, it will itemize out those payments just like it would cash, check, account, gift, so on and so forth. And that's for customers that just want to get down to the actual detail of their drawer and actually see everything that's on their kind of like a daily performance report. It'll itemize that out for you. So this is basically the cash management section of the system that tells the system how you want your checkouts and your closeouts and how the end closing cash to be handled.
So this might be a separate question that's not necessarily cash management, but maybe considered cash/reporting. I had a store that charges more on items that are to go. Like if you're sitting at a table of 6 and you want to take grandma a plate at home and you order something to go, even on a dine-in ticket, that item has an additional charge for the packaging or whatever. They do a 5% fee on that item. So again, that gets into, so like, would that be something? So what we had thought about was that, you know, you start the ticket on dine-in, you create a second to-go ticket.
Yes.
And then combine them. Will that continue to hold those percentages that were raised and all those separate things?
No, it will not, because once you combine them into one ticket, it's going to switch to whatever order type that it's set for. So the honest to God truth is the only way to really truly do what they're doing is going to be one, to do what we call pricing by order type. The second a part of that equation is going to be they would have to do 2 separate orders to make that function the way that they want to, because if they try to combine those orders and they combine it on dine-in, it's going to lower the price down to that dine-in pricing. And if they put it on to-go, it's going to up that pricing because of the to-go pricing. So it's priced by order type, but then on the second end of that is they will not be able to combine those orders because of the fact that the pricing is going to be affected as soon as that becomes one order instead of 2.
Okay, yeah, I was curious how it handled the revenue centers and order type kind of set up there to delineate. It is a complicated ask. I know that's a
It's definitely not a thing.
Yeah,
I will say that it's definitely not a thing at all. The most that I could, couldn't even do a surcharge because you can't do
well, and I mean, I thought about having like a quote unquote like a hidden modifier that they could, when they hit to go, it adds X amount. But when he's wanting to do a percentage rather than add $1 per item or something, you can't apply a percentage. Even if I could say like the to go is a modifier with $1 charge, I can't do a percentage charge on an item.
You could, but that's going to affect the whole ticket. Yeah, no.
Because it would have to be like almost like a modifier.
The secondary option is to have 2 subsets of groups. You have your dine-in or your in-house groups, and then you have your to-go groups. So if it's a to-go order, the staff would have to be trained to use these because they have that pricing increase. And then if it's an in-store order, they use this set of groups because it's a in-store coupon.
Yep, too much fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That would be
just duplicate every order in the system for to go. You know?
I mean, it would be as simple, honestly, as copying and pasting a group and then upping the charges. It's not really like a whole lot of work, and it's not rocket science, but that would be the only way to facilitate what they want to do in an effortless manner.
No, and honestly, you know, I don't know that the decision has even been made on that one. It's Captain Benny's. Okay. So I will have to get with Ralph and see what he ended up doing. But, you know, definitely we'll make sure that was on his list of possible solutions.
Yeah.
Thank you for the help. Sorry to hijack the cash management talk.
Oh, no, it's okay. That's definitely okay. So that's basically the cash management configuration section that I want to go over. Now I'm going to get down into some more detailed information. So for those of you who don't know this, Revention works as a system that the moment that a driver it clocks in, goes to the dispatch screen and is dispatched on their first order, they get what we call a virtual drawer. The moment that a server clocks in, they get what we call a virtual drawer intervention. So a virtual drawer is a standalone drawer that's assigned to an employee. These drawers are transitionary. They can go be done anywhere in the system. So I'm a server. I can literally walk up to any station, place an order, collect on it, and it's going to go to my virtual drawer. That's how that works. And so with servers and drivers, when you are cashing and balancing them out, the cash out is going to look different based on whether it's a server or a driver. So I'm going to show you both, and I'm going to show you some of those features that we kind of went over and how they appear to the employees as they're closing and balancing for the day. So on this one, what we're looking at is a server cash out. So on the server cash out, of course, it's going to tell you that it's a server, what the server's name is over here on the far left-hand side. It's then going to go into what we call the server summary over here. So the server summary on the right-hand side of the screen is going to show you the details of what that server did for the day. And I'm just going to go down the right-hand side. Most of it makes sense. It's self-explanatory, so I don't need to go into it too much. Total order due, obviously, that's every single order that the server has taken and how much they now owe the business. So that's that. And as you can see the list of the server orders and the order detail, how much they came out to. Then you have the bank. There are some locations that will start a server off with $20 for cash, for change, for cash transactions. Others do not. But if there is a bank, it will populate here. The way that banks work in Revention, if you do set up server and driver banks, essentially the moment that a server or a driver clocks in for the day, a paid out is created on whichever station either the system has automatically been set to select or has manually selected. And then the moment that the server or the driver is closed out, that paid in, a corresponding paid in is made saying, hey, this server or this driver gave us the money back. So that's a series of checks and balances that Revention has. But basically, if they do have a bank, the system keeps track of it through paid ins and paid outs. And they should balance and cancel each other out at the end of the day. If they do any drops at all, which sometimes they may require the service to do drops because they might have too much physical cash on them, that will populate in this screen. And what will pop up over here if there are any drops is an ellipses, like a little box with an ellipses in it where you can click on it and it will tell you each drop that they made and it will tell you where the drop was made. Other payments. Other payments is an important one in that statement means that there is an order that was started by the server that is assigned to the server, but the payment was collected somewhere else in the system. So that is what other payments mean. Like I took the order, I started the order as a server, somebody went up to collect, and instead of them collecting it out to me, they collected it to one of the cash drawers. And so that money will show up in other payments to subtract from what the total orders due were for the server for that transaction, or for that, for that transaction.
Is that common? You see that a lot? Or that loud?
I do. Especially, normally I see it when customers first open up until they get used to Revention, because if you're going by too fast and you are helping a server out, I'm a manager, I'm helping a server out, and I'm not paying attention to the prompt that pops up, and I say cash out to drawer instead of cashing out to server, it's really easy to do. But it does keep track of that, so the server at the end of the day is not responsible for that money, but it does create a lot of issues in that I'm at the end of my day, I'm closing down my server, I need to add a tip, that payment is nowhere to be found, which actually it's to be found, but it needs to be found on whichever cash drawer you collected it to. So other payments is where you would be able to see and keep track of that. Normally speaking, this plus CC tips would not be here. If they do CC tips on payroll, it's going to be added as a plus, meaning don't take that out of the total orders for the day. If they do CC tips on payroll, if they don't do CC tips on payroll, then this column will not be here, and those tips will be subtracted from the cash amount that they took. All right. Now, remember earlier I went over CC tips on payroll, gratuity on payroll. You'll be able to see a star item on the cash drawer to let you know what has been enabled. If there's a CC fee, it's going to be right here. down here telling them the exact amount that they owe the business for the CC fee. A more recent addition to the system is that now it used to not take this amount out. So if they're on an older version, it won't take this amount out. Now on the new versions, if they do owe on their credit cards, it will actually take that amount out of the cash that's due on the drawer now. So
Where does it take it out if they have to like tip out a busboy or something?
now the server tip out feature has to be enabled in the system first. So to enable server tip out, you go exit, you go config, system, and under report groups, under each and every report group, there is what you see as a server tip out percent. You see that over there on each one? This right here.
Yeah.
So they would set this amount. Once this is set, it's going to use the report groups as a reference point for what, it's going to use the report groups as a reference point for what each of the server owes. And that does show up on the server cash out receipt. So it's going to be separate from the cash that's due for the business. So essentially the cash that's going to be due in the cash drawer is going to come out automatically, and that's going to print on the receipt in one spot. And then the cash that they owe on a tip out is going to be a different line item on the receipt that says server tip out, and it'll tell them the amount that they have to tip out.
So it wouldn't be on this screen here. Would
It
be
will
on-
not be on this screen. No, it is a separate entity because that cash is not going. This only keeps track of cash and monies that are going to the business. If it is not going to the business, it's not going to keep track of it. It will give you a line item on the report, but it won't keep track of it here on the screen.
Gotcha. So I check the receipt, I take the $5, I put it in an envelope, but it's not tracked in the system.
No, it's not tracked here. We do have a report though. There is a management reports, I want to say the server report would actually, I believe that it does track the tip outs if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, tip out. Gotcha.
Yeah, so this report is the only one that's going to track the server tip out. This is also the only report that will track CC fee for your server, so what they've paid in credit card fees. So if I want to see that at a glance, and this is going to be under the sales section of reports, and it's called simply the the server report. So it's employee sales by server is the name of that report.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Not a problem.
This might be a labor report question, but it has to do with credit or tip out percentage. I know I've worked with systems before where, as a server, it tells me how much I need to tip out to the bartenders, but then you can run a separate report that takes the bartender's total hours for that day and then allocates the total tip percent that was collected that day from all your servers and allocates it by hour to the bartenders that work that day. Do we have that functionality?
That's going to be a whole lot of math you're going to do on your own. I can get you every single last report that will give you the numbers you need. But as far as us having a report that calculates that out for you, that's not a thing.
Okay.
So, Jennifer, you remember when I said that Revention really isn't for full service? This is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, it was a full service concept that I worked for that we had that.
Yeah, it doesn't drill down that far. I mean, I can get you every single report you're asking for, but they're going to be a whole bunch of separate reports and you're going to have to cross-reference.
I'm going to need a calculator.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Not a problem. So that's basically how a server cash out looks and how it's dealt with. When you are closing or balancing a server, I don't think there's balances out to, it's in a deposit though. Let me see if I can remove it from the deposit. Okay, when you are closing and balancing an employee, just to kind of show those of you who are not familiar with Revention what a closeout looks like. So a server cash out will simply start off in this green state, indicating it's open. They are available to take orders and still be able to collect on orders. If the server is done, they would hit close server. Once they do that, it's going to go into this yellow state, close not balance, indicating they're done for the day. So they can no longer take any orders or collect on any orders, but they can go ahead and balance their cash drawer down. If you go to the detail tab in the far left-hand corner, you can reconcile all transactions. Basically, reconciliation in Revention literally just means turn the red check X mark green. That's literally all it means. It's not it's a big word to just say check it off.
Accounted
Make it
for.
green. So I normally suggest going right to left, making sure that all tabs have been hit. So, you know, I would have completely skipped that gift card if I had done that. Go right to left, reconcile all transactions. Once that's done, you go to summary. Here, it's going to give you an overshort. The way that I explain this to businesses is in this overshort box, after you finish reconciling all your transactions, if this is a negative number, that means that the employee owes the business. If this is a positive number, that means that the business owes the employee. Because once you go in and you put in your actuals, it's going to say that the cash due from the server is $57.25. On the flip side of that, if it had been a positive number, it would be negative $57.25 now, and then that would mean that the business now owes this employee $57.25. And then you hit balance server. Once you hit balance, it will go to close balance and it turns red and you're done with that server. An important thing to note about drivers and servers is they cannot clock out for the day until these virtual drawers are closed. If this drawer is open, they have to stay on the clock.
And the drawer be transferred to another person?
The drawer cannot, but if you're talking about open orders, yes. In Revention, if a server has a order that is still open that has not had any payment made on it, it can be reassigned to another server or it can be reassigned to a manager.
What about multiple checks?
What do you mean? Like if they have multiple open orders, yeah, you can
Yes.
reassign all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's super easy to do. Like if you go to orders and you go to, let's see, did I go to orders? Maybe, okay. And you go to order lookup, there's a reassign button. Under reassign, it will list all of the server's orders. So you can go to the specific server up here. It will list all the server's orders. You click on the order, it'll say the server's name here, and then you just click reassign to, and then reassign the order. That's reassigning an order intervention.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right.
But if like, let's say Andrew I just saw the name on there. Let's say Andrew got sick and had to go home and threw all his cash in my hands. I can't take over his stuff. We would just have to
You would have to close and balance him out. Yeah. You can transfer any of the open tickets, but any of the closed tickets, you need to close and balance the drawer at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would basically be a server checkout. So now I'm going to skip over to a driver checkout. Drivers, like I said before, also have what we call the virtual drawer. So it's a standalone drawer that just keeps track of everything they do. Just going to kind of go over it the same way I did with the servers. The opposite way of the driver is that other payments button was down at the bottom for servers. For drivers, it's this total prepaid orders. Total prepaid orders is the same thing as in the server drawer where it says other payments. That means that they had a delivery order that was collected on instead of sent. The way that Revention works is when it is a delivery order, the order is always supposed to be sent because what that does is it saves the payment for the driver. Short of someone physically being in front of you with a bunch of cash in your hand, there's no reason you should be collecting on a delivery order. Even if they have a credit card, you want to send it so the payment goes to the driver's cash out and they get credit for the credit card tips. So total prepaid orders just means that someone collected on a delivery order instead of sending it. Total orders due, it's going to be here, bank the same, driver comp the same. Here's that ellipses with the drops. If there are any, you click on it, you can see any of the drops that happen. It will all come down to the balance that's due. Once this balance is due, the rest of the closeout is exactly the same way as a server. So that was really quick. I really didn't have any.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if they accidentally collect on an order instead of sending it? Is there a way that they can do that on a service level, or do they have to call tech support at that point?
It depends on the payment type. Most of our payment types are basically such that, yes, you can retrieve the order and you can send it through. The only exception to that rule is going to be credit card. For a credit card payment, if you mess up and hit collect, the only way to reassign it in the system is to call support and have someone unsupport do it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking because I had calls like this in tech support where
Because people
collect.
would hit collect instead of saying, yeah, 100%.
I just want to know if there was another way that they can just do it on a more customer service level than through the database or something.
If you mess up, you have to call Revention on a credit card. Every other payment type, however, you can retrieve the payment from it, and then you can collect on it. Recollect on it, resend it through with the correct payment type on it.
Okay, all
Take
right,
the payment
just
direct
checking.
to the driver.
That can't be a manager function, or is that just a policy of Revention?
Oh, that's a policy of Revention. There's no reassigning a credit card payment.
Okay.
It only can be done in the database. Now, it's a feature people have asked for multiple times. I don't know how likely it is they're going to give that for you to just be switching credit cards around all willy-nilly. But, I mean, it is not a feature that currently exists. All right.
So are we gonna do people that that do it without taking out of a safe next?
What do you mean taking out of a safe? As
So,
in,
like-
it goes to, like you want to see what it looks like if we actually
They're paying it
take
to
it out
their
of the cash
payroll.
drawer and what, okay, I can definitely do that. So I'm going to go back to the server cash out. I'm just going to deactivate all this stuff they have going on. So we're going to take off this. We don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. We're not
Oh, sorry. So
focusing
you
the-
were paying through to payroll. My bad. So this would be instead then if they were actually because one thing that I felt like might not make sense to some people, even some business owners, because I feel like everybody, everyone here in this room is gonna run into it. Is sometimes it doesn't make sense even to them. Like you're gonna hear, why do I have to take cash out of my cash drawer, for credit card tips if to pay my servers, or how is that gonna work?
Well,
Because they're
if
gonna
that
end
is
up
the
with less.
case, literally the only thing that you have to do in order for them to take it from the safe as opposed to from one of the cash drawers is deactivate this feature. This tells the system that any cash due from the server or cash given to the server or driver is not coming out of any of the cash drawers in the system. It's coming from another source, which Revention doesn't keep track of. We don't care about your random safe money. We don't know what your safe started off as. We don't know what it ended off as. The reason I'm saying this is because very recently I had the same go around with a customer didn't understand that, he made less money in cash than he did in credit card tips.
Yeah, you
And
see,
he was
that's
like,
the
"I have
first
this
thing that
random
comes to
safe
mind.
money." And I was like, "Sir, I don't know what's in your safe. Revention does not know that." So there's
For
no
me,
way
that's
us
the
to
first
keep
thing
track
that
of
comes to mind is a customer that doesn't understand these simple functions. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
but
So if you don't want it to come out of the cash drawers and you want it to come out of a safe or a third source, then what you want to do is leave these deactivated. On the flip side of that, if I turn this on and I am cashing out a cash drawer, so there is going to be, what station has a cash drawer on it? Do they have cash drawers? So one of these stations, 4. And one of them has to have money in it. Apparently, or not. Okay, so I'm gonna take this one, station 4 drawer. All right, so I turned on the feature server and driver cash out to drawer. Essentially what that feature does, like I said before, is if I have to give money to a server or a driver, or if I have to take money out of my drawer to give to a server or driver, it will auto-populate in this drawer. So I want you to notice on this drawer right now that the system currently says that the total cash is $0.00. So when a server is deposited into the cash drawer or a driver's tips are taken out of the cash drawer, it does affect this total cash number. So the total cash is basically going to be all of the cash transactions taken on this station minus any credit card tips minus any credit card tips or gratuity. And that's what's going to populate as the total up here. So I'm going to recache this server out from yesterday. Where is she? And I've taken off the feature that said, put it on the payroll. So now, instead of this saying that she is over by the 50 something dollars, it says right now in the overshort that we owe her 1606. So that means that she took less in cash than she had in credit card tips. So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and cash it out negative 1606. I'm going to balance the employee out. It's going to give me, remember I said you'll get a pop-up if the drawer that you want to select is not there. So you'll get a pop-up to go ahead and reconcile it, and it'll put it in that drawer we were just looking at. So if I go back to that cash drawer now and take a look at it, you will see that the total cash in the drawer has actually gone down by 1606 because of that server's cash out. So the server and driver cash out, if it does go to the drawer, it does affect the total cash. It doesn't affect the tip amount, but the total cash will be wrong. So as you can see, the total cash is now 1606. The credit card tips of 1227 have to come out, which now says that this drawer at this moment is going to be negative 2833. And all that really means, and because I have customers ask me all the time, how can I have a negative number in my totals? That just means that you had more in credit card tips than you did in cash orders. And this amount is either going to now have to come out of your safe because you don't have a starting amount, or if you have a starting amount, this amount is coming out of that starting amount. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
All right. You'd be surprised how often it sounds like rocket science, what I'm saying.
I know that's
Like,
you told me
this
about
number plus this number equals this number, subtracted from that number. That's how you.
why do I have negative numbers in here?
Like, you know, it's like I'd say if you get your calculator out, I'll get mine out. We can break this down. Let's do it.
There's no way I can have negative money in my drawer.
So you go to detail, you're going to do the same thing that you did earlier. You're going to reconcile. So the driver staff means these are orders that actually came from that server's cash out. So that is indicated in your cash drawer with the that red driver staff line. And then you just reconcile, you do this. Now, of course, if you want to do your cash actuals, remember I was talking about the starting amount earlier. So this drawer has a $0 starting amount. But if this drawer actually had a starting amount on it, as they start to enter in the cash denominations, what would happen is that starting amount would be taken out of the total cash. So let me see if any of these drawers actually had a starting amount. No, I didn't mean to exit out that far. Let's see. Apparently they don't believe in starting amounts. That's cool too. Give me a second. Oh, that's not going to work. I know I did this on the last call too. I'm going to trick the drawer into doing what I wanted to do. Just give me a second. Okay, let's go back to yesterday's date. Okay, so now if I do this and I go to detail, select all, it has $100. So if I put in one of these, then I put in 5 of these, then I put in 3 of these. As you can see, it starts to take that starting amount from the actual total cash that's in the drawer in order to facilitate populating what their cash actuals are. So most locations will have this enabled where it's required, where they can't just put this in. So if this is enabled, the employee can't just go do this because I'm lazy. I can do this, hit exact, and go about my business. Instead, they have this enabled where it's grayed out and the employee is required to go in and actually put in these cash actuals. And that's basically how you close down a cash store. You're going to close and balance it. It's going to print out a receipt and you're done. Any other? And then I guess the final step, if they want to, create deposits. So you can create a deposit in the system for any of the business dates. You just hit select all, set exact actuals, because all that's really doing is you telling the system exactly what all of the cash is in your system. If for some reason, say I have $50 on hand, instead of being negative 228.33, you can do that, put that in there, and it will adjust the owed short for the day. And that's basically closing a cash store. Anybody questions, concerns? No? Okay.
Is there any additional steps that have to be done at the end of the day by like the closing manager?
Yes. So the very last steps that are taken each day is what we call the close of day procedures. For new installs, which is something that I kind of probably need to go over with my team at some point, but one of the first things that I tell customers to do, the installers also normally do this, you can actually just hit one button and be done for the day. However, one of the things that I tell customers that are new installs is to make sure that you're actually getting your deposits and that your batches are going through. So I have them take the additional step of actually going to cash and CC manager, and in here, batching out their credit cards. So each day is gonna start with this red light. It's going to have all the transactions in here, and it will, so you don't know if the batch clearly has not gone through. A successful batch will look like this. Once they have successfully manually batched the credit cards by hitting this button down here, it will give them a batch report, which shows them this is the transactions that I did for the day. This is what's been sent to my processor. They can hit print, and it prints out a little chit that they can actually keep for their records if they want to. Additionally, this light will turn from red to green. And then on the far right-hand side, which is really hard to see because Baumgar is blocking it, there is a time and date of the actual batch. Oftentimes I'll get customers that are like, oh, I didn't get my batch from the other night. And I look, and it's because they forgot to close day or manually batch their credit cards. And so it wasn't done until the following day at the time of auto start new day. And so you can tell when the actual batch went through based on this. And you can also tell whether they did it or the system did it based on this time and date over here on the right-hand side. It's really hard to see.
Is there a way to export the batch report besides print it?
There is not a way to export this batch report, but keep in mind, these numbers should perfectly match what's on your daily performance. If this and your daily performance did not match, something has gone wrong. So this should exactly match what's on the DPR. So if I were to show you this on the DPR, show you this right now, I could go to the daily performance and in the credit card section, it will match these numbers.
Gotcha. I just once had a place that the accounting department actually wanted the batch reports at night. So that would be the daily performance. The daily performance would trigger and you'd have it emailed to whoever you want with all of their sales, including the section with the credit cards. Or you can just have them sent the credit card detail report. We have a report that's literally just the credit cards. So under cash and then credit cards, I could have this emailed out. Will that indicate what was batched and what wasn't?
This does not indicate what was batched and what wasn't.
Yeah, it was one of those weird things where they wanted the accountant to be able to verify with the bank based on, batch report.
Based on the batch reports and the POS, yeah. The best reference point is going to be, like I said, the daily performance or, like I said, printing out that batch report in the credit card manager. So once they've done this step, they're pretty much done for the day. So the only requirement would be to go to management. They would go to this red close day button, and then they would hit close day. Once they do this button does three things for them. It will send out any reports they have set up to email at the close of day. It will batch out any unbatched credit cards, and it will flip them over to the correct business date.
So they don't need to manually batch their credit cards every day?
They do not. I just tell customers in the beginning to get used to it, to make sure they know how to go and check and see if it's batched. because, you know, we have had instances where a customer wasn't batching out and had no idea they weren't batching out. And that kind of shows them, okay, this is how you take responsibility for your own money, knowing how to go batch and check on your batches periodically. So that's why in the very beginning, I tell them to do it at least for the first week or two until they're comfortable that they're getting their deposits in a timely manner and that they're the right amount. After that, if they don't want to take that extra step, they can just go hit close day.
And can you repeat those three things again? I'm sorry. Close day key, batches all the credit cards.
Batches all your credit cards.
Resets the day.
Resets the day and sends out any report packages that are configured to email out at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Is there anywhere in the report that will show declines, credit card declines?
Yes, so that would be that batch report that I was showing under Cash CC Manager. There is a section on the report at the very bottom that shows you if there was a decline, if it was a partial payment, which it shouldn't be doing partial payments, but if it was a decline, if it was, and normally declines are gonna be, they had to force credit cards for some reason, and when they went to batch, it wasn't there. But that would show up down here under exceptions. It'll even show you the order number, what the message was that we received from the processor, so on and so forth.
Gotcha. Will the system, you know, the gift cards today look like credit cards in some instances, and let's say it was a $20 tab, there was only $10 on the card. Does the system prompt and saying now you owe $10 more?
What do you mean? Like, are you talking about like those prepaid gift cards?
Correct.
Well, yeah. So when they do the pre-auth, if their pre-auth amount is set for $10 and they run that card and it lets it run for $10, it'll do that. But when at the end of the transaction, when they are done and they have to close the tab out, they basically change that pre-auth to a live authorization, reaching out back out to the bank, saying, "Hey, I need the full amount of this amount." And if that card does not have that amount, you will get a decline transaction, alert. And then at that point, you would have to tell the customer, I either need another form of payment or you know, I'm going to need another form of payment. That's what you would tell them. Give me
But
my
the
money.
customer's gone already.
Yeah.
So now you're paying that $10 difference.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's how that works.
Honestly, Rory, that's why a lot of people have started paying credit cards on payroll. That, and because if somebody disputes a charge or it was a theft of a card, they are not out the tip they've already paid their servers.
Other systems we use that they allow the prompt. It prompts them. It tells them on the system, hey, you used it's a $20 card and there's a $20 tab, $10 on the card. It'll come up and say, hey, there's $10 more actually at the time of when it's swiped versus waiting till after the fact.
Yeah, no. And are you talking about in the instance of a pre-auth or an instance of I'm just closing out a transaction?
I'm just closing a transaction. You typically see it in the full
Oh
service
yeah,
restaurants.
it is. If the money is not there, like if I walk up and I have a $10 transaction, a $20 order, and my gift card has $10, I run it for that 20. It's going to tell me it's declined, and then you're basically going to be like, okay, so how much is actually on this card, and you can run it for that 10, and then they have to pay the remaining balance. So I think I misunderstood the question. I thought you were talking about in the instance of those places that do pre-auths.
No. I was talking about that, like in a full service environment. I just we've come across so many times where gift cards look like a credit card, but it's not.
It won't tell you exactly how much they have on the card or anything like that. It will just outright decline it because the card doesn't have enough money on it. And then you would basically, the onus is on you to find out, okay, customer, how much is on this card so we can run it for the right amount.
Correct. Gotcha. Thanks.
No?
I've also seen those come back as a partial approval in CC Manager.
You're talking about those prepaid gift cards?
Yes.
Yeah. And that is actually a setting that can be turned off on the end of WorldPay. So if you
The customer's ability to even authorize on one of those?
the ability to do partial payments.
Okay.
So you can turn that off. Like it's like there's no such thing as a partial. Either you're going to give me all my money or you're not going to get any of it. So basically, that is a flag that can be turned off, I believe. Bree, you're here still, right? I think she knows better than I do. Maybe she's not
I'm
listening.
here, but I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
So the thing where sometimes people are running credit cards and at the end of the day when they batch it says partial, is that not a flag on WorldPay's end that we can turn off so that they can't do partial authorizations or approvals?
I actually don't know the answer to that question, Shakira. We
Got
can
it.
ask merchant services if it's important.
Okay, got it. I can ask about that, but from what I remember in a time before where I had a customer that had discrepancies on their batches and I worked with them, I had to get on the phone with WorldPay and they had to like sign some paperwork or something, and then they had to turn it off on that end. But I
Thank
will
you.
check on that. All right, does anybody have any other questions, concerns?
One thing, does use of pay credit cards and gratuities and driver comps through payroll, does that also have to be accompanied by the drawer setting tipped employee, or is that not required?
We're crossing the big, you pulled out the big guns. Okay, yes. So the way traditionally speaking that Revention has worked is that if you use tips, gratuity, or comp on payroll, it does not work on the main cash drawers unless the drawer is set as a tipped employee. I believe that in more recent versions, do not quote me on this, but I believe in more recent versions, it actually works on shared cash drawers now. Where the tips and the gratuity and whatnot will actually stay in as cash and then can be done on payroll.
Okay.
Good to know.
I seen that problem before, Ron. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, but that's because you have to think of the logic behind it. A shared cash drawer, everybody in the building can walk up and take an order on it. So there's no way to assign the tips or the gratuity to any one person because none of the orders are assigned to anybody. And so when you have a shared cash drawer, since the system doesn't know who it goes to, it doesn't go to anybody, just take it out now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thought process behind that. But if you want that to work and actually go to payroll, you would have to have tipped employee enabled.
Is there any way we can
Good.
go ahead? Is there any way to confirm that this update's being applied to share cash drawers? Just out of curiosity about.
Yeah, I can test it. I can play with
Okay.
the system and test it.
Because I haven't seen that problem in a long time, so I don't know if 411 did address that. So
It
this is
was actually a February version that fixed it because I put in the request for it and had to put it on the very first customer. So yes, it was a February version that fixed it. But I don't know I think that in the subsequent versions that, as they make new versions, they kept that in there as a feature.
I gotcha. Okay, no, that's awesome. Like I said, I haven't seen it in a long time, but when the problem was addressed, it was thing. But go ahead.
Nothing. My ears just started ringing all of a sudden.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that's basically how that works. Anybody have any other questions, concerns?
Is the close date procedure given to the customer? You probably may not know this answer, but is it given to them like in a PDF format, a paper copy, a laminated copy?
No, I believe that they get what we call the quick reference guide, and in the quick
Okay.
reference guide, the close of day process is in there.
Okay, that's my question, I guess. So they can use that as a reference.
Yes, and that, and even if they don't have a hard copy, they can go to the Revention knowledge base, which my team emails out to them. The installers are putting it on station 1 as a executable, so they can get out to it, and they can go to the knowledge base and look up those documents as well if they wanted to.
Perfect. Good reference. Thank you.
And pretty soon, our team and the customer success team, we're working on an app that will allow them to pre-train using videos that goes through all of this. And also they will be able to like see videos on how all of this works before they even get installed. So that's something we're working on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the training today.
Not a problem. It was great working with you guys. I have recorded it. I will figure out a way to get it to you. I will figure out a way to get it to you guys. and then you can have a copy of it for yourselves, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Shakira.
So much.
This was good.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Thank y'all so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, take care.